This is your life and you get to create it however you want it to be. And in fact, I would argue that it's your responsibility and your purpose to do just that. Your desires, your dreams, your curiosities, your callings, these are all your responsibility to move towards. And in this episode today, I'll be giving you 13 different strategies for creating the life, business, and relationships that you want. Because remember, you have the power to do that, and it's your responsibility. Everyone benefits when you move towards what you dream of and what you desire. These are the 13 strategies that I use with all of my clients. Whenever a new client comes to work with me in one of my coaching programs, whether it's life coaching, business coaching, or relationship coaching, I'm having a look at exactly what it is they desire, and then I choose one of these 13 different strategies to use to support them to move towards what they want. You'll be learning all about these 13 strategies in this episode, and by the end of the episode, you'll be able to choose which strategy is right for you and then get to work moving towards the change, the dream, or the goal that you desire. Now, I want you to know that these strategies will work for you when you have a specific goal, dream, vision, intention that you want to bring to life. And they also will work for you when you don't know what needs to change, but you just know that something does. Sometimes this can be really obvious because you're just fed up and you're unfulfilled, unsatisfied with your life as it is right now. And in other times, it's more vague and it's more like, I just know I'm ready for more, but I'm not sure what. I know that I need a change, but I'm not sure what. I'm just feeling a little bit flat in my life right now. Something needs to change, but I really can't figure out what needs to change because my life is great or things have been great, but I know that it's just not meeting me and lighting me up in the way that it used to. All of these will be dealt with in today's episode. Okay, so first we're going to start with the category of life. So consider this your life coaching strategies. This is when you have an area of your life that isn't business and it's not your relationships that you want to focus on realigning and repositioning. I've got 4 different strategies within this category. The first strategy is something I call intentional life design. This is the foundation for every single person when it comes to creating a life you want. And I still remember the first time in my life when I put myself through an intentional life design process. Everything changed for me. And it was because it was the first time in my life that I realized I get to choose every aspect of my life. So I can literally go shopping with my own life, come up with a shopping list of what I actually want, how I want it to be, how I want to use my time, be so intentional with every single aspect of my life. And then I get to go about living that life. This was totally new news to me. And I still remember the first time that I realized this is how life gets to be. It was so fun. The way that I approached it is I looked at 24 hours in every day over the course of a week. And I looked at how I was actually spending my time. And then I looked at how I wanted to spend my time. Now, there was so much more to do with this process, looking at my goals, looking at my habits, self-discovery, all of that, so that I could even figure out what it was that I wanted, because suddenly I had all of this freedom that I didn't know that I had before. And now I needed to figure out, well, how would I want to live my life? What would a great day in my life look like? How can I make shifts inside the areas of my life, like my work, when I feel like I don't have much choice? But as you go through an intentional life design, you realize you actually have so much more choice than you realize. Even the way you approach your work, if you work for someone else, the way that you approach working out, the way that you approach your breaks throughout the day, the way that you approach the people in your life, the way that you approach time with yourself, you get to choose all of it. And the biggest change we make when we do an intentional life design is just realizing that we have that choice. Suddenly things don't feel so horrible and frustrating because you realize you get to choose absolutely everything. So if you're going through an intentional life design right now, this would be the first time in your life that you're realizing you get to design your life, every aspect of it, exactly as you want it to be. We would use this strategy first so that you create a strong foundation. You get clear on exactly how you want to live your life, what your intentions look like. We look at every aspect of your life and then we reposition everything so that it's actually in alignment with what you consciously want to choose. This is so incredibly fun, and I can tell you that my entire life changed as a result of doing this. The second strategy for looking at your life is what I call a life makeover. This is where you've already done an intentional life design before. And so your life was great, you were loving it, but now you're at a new season in your life and you're realizing something needs to change, but I'm not sure what. And it feels really big. This is when you go through an identity shift. And most of us will go through and need a life makeover at least every 5 to 10 years, depending on how quickly you tend to change things up as a person. Now, when you go through a life makeover, it can feel like you have a lot to lose, especially because you've built on this strong foundation of intentionally designing your life already as you would most like it to be. When you go through a life makeover, you're then changing all of that up, and it can be scary because you already chose every aspect of your life and now it's not satisfying and fulfilling you in the same way that it once did, but you loved it before and now you don't. And so it feels really scary to let that go. Now, when we ignore that call for more, what tends to happen is the universe will send you an obstacle that will kind of shake up your life, maybe even blow it up, so that you're forced to go through this life makeover. Many people go through a life makeover, for instance, when they leave a job or leave a relationship or something really significant happens in their life. And I'm not saying that the universe is necessarily sending those things to you, for instance, like the death of someone that you love, but they do happen. And after that, you tend to reconsider your life as a whole and you start asking questions. You start asking questions about yourself, your identity, everything that you believed was true. And this can make you feel like you're going through an identity crisis. You can reterm that and call it a life makeover. It's just an opportunity to get to know yourself on a deeper level. And so you might have gone through a situation recently that's had you start to rethink your entire life and your identity, and you feel like the way that you were living and the way you looked at yourself just doesn't fit anymore. And this is a beautiful opportunity, and it's normal, it's natural, nothing's gone wrong here. For other people like me, I tend to ignore when things need to change because I get so comfortable and cozy with my life and I know that I've designed it exactly the way I want. But then life will send me something to shake things up. Like when I decided that it was time to let go of my core business offering that I had run for many years, was very, very successful. It served so many people. And I got to a point where I just had to realize it was time to let that go because something new was emerging. And I had to allow space for that new aspect, that new identity, that new life makeover to come through. So the universe sent some obstacles my way that forced me to let go. This also happened when it came to the end of a relationship I'd been in for 10 entire years. When someone goes through a relationship ending, especially when it's been a decade of your life, some of you might be ending a relationship that you've been in for decades, or maybe it's a shorter period of time. And this is a beautiful opportunity always to go through a life makeover because your identity with that other person is with that other person. And so it can feel like you've lost an aspect of yourself. Who am I outside of this? What does it mean for my life as a whole, my vision for the future? So when you go through a life makeover, we're really looking at who are you today? It's a huge self-discovery process and it's about looking at yourself with new eyes, and it's a process, but we're very much focusing on your identity. What identities was I holding and what identities am I holding as I step into this new undefined future? So it's less about looking at redesigning your life, although that is part of it. It's more about looking at and exploring who you are today first, and then allowing new dreams, new desires, new curiosities to emerge. Our third strategy is what I call an area up level. It's the best term I have. And this is where you look at one of the 7 different areas that make up your life and you decide, I just want to do a deep dive into that area. So maybe it's your health and your body, maybe it's your home and your possessions, maybe it's your money and your wealth management, maybe it's your purpose, your work, your contribution to the world, maybe it's your relationships as a whole. You just know that something in your life really needs some attention, and it's one of the specific 7 categories of your life. And so when you're doing an area up level, you're really just looking at that area as a whole, and you're asking yourself, well, how have I been approaching this area and what is it needing now? And then you take a top view approach of that particular area to look at every aspect of it and start repositioning it. The 4th strategy is where you have a very specific goal or a very specific dream, desire, something specific that you want to bring to life. Here's an example from my own life. A couple of years ago, I realized I really wanted to work on my physical health. So I decided to do an area up level of my body and health. I had a look at the food I was eating, the way I was moving, the way I was talking to myself about my body. I looked at my mental health, and I went and got support for every single aspect that was related to my physical health and my mental health as well as my body. This led me to moving differently, to eating differently, to thinking differently, and it also led me to working out that I absolutely love dancing and to progressing as a dancer. But this was not something that I knew when I first went into this area and started the up level. I started off working with a functional health doctor, and then I was doing a yoga teacher training, so I was really into yoga, and then I got into Pilates, and then I got into dancing, and I realized how much I love dancing. I explored all these different diets and to discover what was really right for me and my body. So now today I know what works for my body in terms of the food I eat. I know what ways of moving my body I love, and I have this diverse range of interests when it comes to movement and my body. And I think about myself in a totally different way. I have a different relationship with my body than what I did when I first entered that area up level. Now, the 4th category is when you have a specific goal, a specific wish, a specific dream, a specific desire, something that you know you want to bring to life. For example, more recently, I've had the goal of wanting to do an unassisted handstand. I've actually been working on this goal for years, but this is one example. So for me, I wanted to work on moving away from the wall when I do a handstand. Now, this sounds like quite a simple thing, but for me, it's not. And for a lot of people, it's not either. This can take months or years to achieve. I have a real fear of moving away from the wall, of falling over. I find it really hard to find balance when I'm in an inversion, whereas when I'm doing a balancing exercise with my feet, I'm really good at it. This has been a beautiful exercise looking at the stories I hold in my mind that affect the way I move my body. And it's all with the view of moving me progressively forward, building up the strength I need to be able to safely and securely support me in doing an unassisted handstand. I'm getting further away from the wall, but I'm still relying on the wall today. I'll give you an update on that when I finally achieve a freestanding handstand for more than 5 seconds. Okay, so they're the 4 different strategies for creating a life that you want. Now let's talk about business. This is for you whether you're starting a business, and it's also for you whether you've got an established business too. The first strategy we use is what I call holistic business. And this is where you redesign, reposition, or if you're just starting out, position yourself to create a business that is truly holistic. Holistic business is a term that I came up with to describe creating a business that allows you to thrive as a human and as a woman, if you are one, or a man, or whatever you identify with in terms of gender, because that is important. We have bodies that need to be tended to, that need to be supported by the way that we work. And it also allows your business to thrive and your life to thrive as a whole. So many of us get into business because we want the freedom to make up our life as we like. We want to work in the way we want, and we also want to live a very specific life. So we realize we find it really hard to do that when it comes to working for someone else. So we create a business where we get to be our own boss and then create that for ourselves. However, what so many people find is that throughout their business journey, because they're in habituated patterns that they learned through growing up and also all the other jobs they've had in the past, they start applying those same habits to their business, and they realize it's still not allowing them to thrive, even though they got out of whatever they were doing before, like me being a lawyer, into business to help them thrive. And then they find maybe they've reached burnout again, or it's just really not supporting them in the way that they want. Maybe they're not even living the life that they want because they're spending so much time thinking about their business, or even just living by rigid rules that doesn't allow them to live the way that they want. So I call this holistic business, and this is something I've been supporting my clients with for many years. It's one of my specialties and zones of genius. I help my clients to really look at their business as a whole and set everything up from your business model, your systems and processes, your team, the way you work in the business, the way you think about your business, the way you relate to your business, so that it sets you up to thrive. This can look like creating lots of changes in the way that you approach your business or even what you offer. And sometimes it's actually not changing anything. It's just focusing on very specific things in your business and letting go of everything else. Sometimes it looks like changing the way that you actually deliver your offers, so that you're not trying to deliver in these really complicated ways, but instead you're focusing on very specific things that actually are in alignment for you to provide and allows you the freedom, the time, or just even more energy so that you're actually feeling lit up as a human. Now, if you identify as a woman and you experience a menstrual cycle, this also includes designing your business so that it works with the 4 seasons of your menstrual cycle. This is really important for us as women because our creative powers are different depending on the different hormonal phase that we're in throughout the course of one menstrual cycle. Now, if you're a woman and you're not experiencing a menstrual cycle, you also have hormones, you've also got a changing body, and so it's really important to understand what that looks like. You could be going through perimenopause, menopause, pregnancy, you might be postpartum, and all of these different chapters of a woman's life are really important to understand and to know about so that you can build a business that supports you in that season of your life. It's really, really important that your body is thriving in the way you work in business. Now, if you're not in business and you're listening to this still, you can also think about this in terms of your work, the way that you show up for work. You can make shifts to the way you show up in your work, but only when you're educated on what those shifts need to be for you. You will need to be the leader in your workplace to set up your working day in a way that actually allows you to thrive. And if you can bring a business case to the people who manage you so that they can understand why you choose to work in that way and how it will help you to execute your job more powerfully, this becomes a business case that can be difficult to refuse. And by doing that, guess what happens? You then inspire other people to do the same, which actually allows for more productivity in the place of work that you work in. It also allows you to be more respected by your colleagues because they know that you'll advocate for what you want. It also means that you're more trustable because they know that you understand how you best work and you're going to advocate for yourself to work in that way. And it also helps to educate the people that manage you so that they can be better managers to everybody else in their team. So there are so many benefits, but it always starts with us. And that's a journey that I help my clients take so that they can discover what it is they actually need to thrive. Now, the second category in terms of business is a phase-specific category. It's really important to understand what phase of the business cycle you're in right now. And this will change throughout your business journey, and it usually goes in a cyclical way. This is beautiful. It's just like everything else in life, but you need to be able to identify which phase you're in right now for this very important reason. If you want to grow, you need to know what problem you need to solve in order to get to the next phase of the business journey. So if you're starting a business, that's the first phase. Second phase is when you're validating your signature offer. You're testing, does it work? Do people want to buy it? Is it being executed well? Is it being delivered well? Is it doing what I promise it to do? There is a process, a phase of validation that's really, really important and sets sets you up for the growth you desire in the long term. But if you're focusing on scaling something that hasn't been validated, that's going to end up in your business not working out and you being really stressed through the process. So we always want to start where we are. The third phase is all about growth. This is where you've got a validated signature offer for your business and now you're learning how to actually grow it and bring it to more people. And then the final phase is all about scaling. This is where you've got an established and growing offer, you know how to grow it, and now you're looking at how can I bring on other income streams, or how can I actually execute that offer in a way that allows me to be able to serve more people or to deliver more products without me having to actually work more. So this is a different problem to solve. You're using your brain in a different way, and it's really important that you're just where you are in the business journey and that you're being supported to solve the problems that are necessary for that specific phase. And that's something that I support my clients with as well. Now, the third strategy for business, just like our final strategy when it comes to your life as a whole, is when you have a specific business goal, desire, dream that you want to bring to life. It could be, I want to work less in my business. It could be, I want to work with my menstrual cycle in my business. It could be, I want to bring in more income in my business. It could be, I want to improve this specific product. Something specific needs to change, and so we're bringing a micro focus to that specific goal, intention, wish, dream, or desire in your business. And you get really, really powerful in shifting that one thing because that's all you're focused on changing. So that's a really powerful way as well to approach improving a business and creating the business that you want. Now, the fourth and final strategy I have for you is for everyone who identifies as a woman. And this is what I call being a woman in business. This is where you set up or reposition your business if you've got an established business so that it's truly supporting you to thrive as a woman. This is something we do when we look at holistic business, but sometimes you will just want to look at how do I actually realign my business so that it supports me as a woman to thrive. So you might be preparing for motherhood, pregnancy, maternity leave, postpartum. You might be preparing for a new season of your hormonal cycle throughout your life. You might be realigning your business to your menstrual cycle. You might be learning how to work in a cyclical way that's not aligned with your menstrual cycle. You might be learning how to lead your business from your feminine energy rather than approaching it from a more masculine, energetic way. Now, a word on that is that we all need to work with both masculine and feminine energy. And a lot of people who teach about masculine and feminine energy, especially in business, are not even using the terms in the right way. You'll always be using a combination of masculine and feminine energy. There are ways to lead more from your feminine energy, but you'll still always need to work with your masculine energy in order to give you the structure, in order to give you the ease that allows you to be in your feminine. Often when people are talking about being less masculine in their business, they're actually talking about gender stereotypes and roles, talking about bro marketing strategies, etc. These are just gender stereotypes. It actually has nothing to do with masculine and feminine energy. Masculine and feminine energy are about two creative energies, and we always need both to create anything. So there are ways to lean more into your feminine energy within your business, but you equally, in a reciprocal way, need to know how to lean more into your masculine energy in order to hold that feminine energy. So this is all about energetics. It's something that I specialize in, and sometimes you can actually create across your team a flow of energy so that you've got other people who are holding more of those masculine energetic roles so that you get to be more in your feminine. But if it's just you in your business, you need to learn how to hold both of them. And the deeper you want to go in your feminine energy, the more you want to lead in your feminine energy, you do need to know how to hold the reciprocal masculine energy. And this has nothing to do with working more. It's simply about the way that you work. And that's something that I just love to help my clients with. Okay, now for our final category, which is all about relationships. So there are 5 different strategies when it comes to relationships. The first is when we're looking at your romantic life. You need to understand what is required to create a relationship in a romantic context that allows you and your partner, as well as your relationship, to thrive. This is what I call a conscious relationship, but you could also just call it true love. So many people think that in order to create a thriving romantic relationship, they either need to sacrifice something really specific to them, or they can have a great relationship in terms of a great team dynamic, but then they don't necessarily feel that romantic connection with their partner. Just like in your life and just like in your business, you can create whatever you want, and you create it by the choices that you make. So when you know what you want, you can go about creating that, and it's exactly the same for a romantic relationship. So the way that I support my clients in terms of a romantic relationship is to recognize that they can create a relationship that allows both of them to thrive as well as their relationship. It can support both of your individual purpose and potential. And you can also create a relationship where you continue to feel that romantic connection. You remain attracted to one another, and it continues to get better and better over time so that it meets both of you, even though you're both growing and evolving as people. So that you don't need to worry about growing apart anymore because you have a relationship foundation that allows for that. And the way we do that is through a very specific process that I teach my clients and that I also am sharing in my brand new course that will be released in the coming days called The Conscious Relationship. It's a very specific monthly process that you get to implement into a current relationship or learn about for a future relationship so that you can embody all of the conscious relationship skills you need to create a thriving romantic relationship that feels like true love. Because the truth is, great relationships are created, they're not found. It's not dependent on the two people in the relationship being the exact perfect match, because you will both change throughout the course of your life. You need a foundation. It's the way you approach your relationship. It's recognizing what you actually want and need in terms of your relationship. And that's the process we go through when it comes to romantic relationship coaching. The second category is phase specific. This is also about your romantic life, but you might be dating right now. You might be healing from a recent relationship or one from a long time ago. You might be entering into a new relationship. You might be asking how to improve an existing relationship. You might be deciding whether to leave a relationship you're in right now, or you might be completing a relationship you're in right now. If you're dealing with any of these different phases of the relationship cycle, then you want to recognize that you're in that phase and you want to support yourself in showing up for that phase in the best way that you can. This again is about being really intentional, recognizing that you have a choice for what you experience here, and you want to choose to support yourself in the most loving way you can. And that's something that I also support my clients with in my relationship coaching program. Now, the third strategy is when you're focusing on your friendships or your community. So this is where you might have a craving for more meaningful connection across your friendships or deeper intimacy with your friends. Or maybe there are gaps in your community where you have interests that you just don't get to share with people who also share those interests. I went through this a few years ago where I really needed some new friends, and I realized instead of trying to convince everyone in my current life to be interested in the same things that I am interested in, instead I could just go out and meet people who already love those things. This made everything so much easier, and it also put a lot of stress and pressure off my current friends because I wasn't constantly asking and expecting them to like the things that I like and then feeling resentful when they weren't. Instead, I got those needs met through new friendships, which allowed me to see the friendships I already had for exactly what they are and enjoy them for what they are. So you might want to approach specifically just focusing on friendships and community, how to have deeper connections, how to nurture friendships, how to make new friends, and all of that would happen through focusing on friendship and community. Now, the fourth category is family. This is where you look at all of your family relationships. It could be your immediate circle, it could be children, it could be parents, it could be siblings, it could be extended family like your grandparents, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins. The way we relate with our family members have the most conditioning, and those habits that we've formed with our family then show up in our friendships, in our professional relationships, and most especially in our romantic relationships. So it can be so powerful at various moments in your life to really have a look at your family relationships. Look at the way you show show up, look at the patterns that are showing up there, look at how you want them to improve. If you want something to change within your family relationships, you have the power to do that. And in any relationship, yes, the other person impacts what that dynamic looks like, but you can lead a dynamic into shifting and changing through focusing on what you have the power to change and your responsibility to make that change when you want something different. So it's very powerful to look at your family relationships periodically and to look at how you want them to be different and get to work changing that. Our fifth strategy is about your professional relationships. This is for you if you're in a leadership or management role. You get to choose and intentionally design how you want to show up as a leader, how you want to be known as a leader, how you want to inspire, how you want to lead. And leadership and management is all about relationships. It's really important that you know how to relate with people in an intentional way, how to know what a person needs so that they can actually thrive in their role, how to know what you need to be empowered and thrive as a leader. This is also an area I support my clients with. And if you're in a position of leadership or management, it's really important that periodically you also review this particular area of your life. So there we have it, everybody. They are the 13 different strategies for creating the life, business, and relationships that you want. Now, throughout your life, you should use every single one of these strategies at some point. It's really important. It's normal. It's natural to want to shift and change things in your life because you're a growing, evolving human. So you change just like every single aspect of the world and the universe. And it's important for you to be aware of that so that you can meet yourself. Otherwise, you'll always feel unsatisfied because you expect yourself to be the same. Utilize these 13 different strategies to meet you with what most needs your attention in this moment. Now, if you'd love to know more about any of these 13 different strategies, or you would love my personal coaching support to help you move through one of these 13 different strategies, I invite you to check out leticiaringe.com/coaching. There you'll find more information about all of these 13 different strategies, as well as all the information about how you can apply for a spot in one of my coaching programs. I'm so excited for you to move forward and to say yes to your dreams and desires. And I'd love to hear, what is it most calling you right now? And which strategy will you be using to go about creating the life, business, or the relationships that you want? Tell us in the comments below or send me a message over on Instagram at @LeticiaRinge. I'd love to hear from you. All right, my beautiful friends, that's the end of today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.